right on the border. We consider ourselves East Arborbuche. We got the land about a year ago, and we did a lot of renovations all last summer. A lot of things happened. We weren't able to actually open until first week in December, but we've been open ever since, and things have started falling into place. And we're actually at the point now where we're moving our whole operating facility here. So that'll happen over the next couple of weeks, and we'll be 110% in place. It's a long family history. I had an uncle that was he was a brewer back, before it was even considered anything. It was sort of like a backwoods sort of thing. And I used to make ginger beer and root beer and sarsaparilla and all that with him when I was a kid. And then as I got older, I learned how to make beer, and I got interested in the whole aspect. And I started sort of, it was a hobby. And when I started sailing as a teenager, I started working aboard tall ships. And when I first had my, proper crew positions, and I was actually traveling, one of my first crew positions was as a bosun. So you're responsible for the team. And the captain says to me, "Hey, go get some rum for the crew." Well, this is the Caribbean back in the 80s. You don't skip down to the Winn-Dixie. So I knock on the door of a distillery, and this big guy opens the door and he goes, "What do you want?" "Rum." "Come to the right place." And, that's how it all started, and, from there on, I continue going into distilleries. My beer evolved a lot, and microbreweries were starting to open up. A good friend of mine, Kevin Keefe, opened the second microbrewery in Canada, and I was there for that. And I opened my own. I created my own in the basement of the house, and it was what a lot of people, the hobbyists nowadays, would consider normal. A 3-barrel system, and it was completely out of the world at that time. But that's how it all started. Our specialty is rum, and but we have brought in some other products. We started right from the beginning with Horton Ridge down in the Annapolis Valley. They do floor malting just like they do in Scotland, and they do a super job. It was the middle of COVID. Al Stewart, who owns Horton Ridge, and spent an afternoon with us, and we just loved what he was doing, and he gave me a bunch of samples. I started working with it and said, "Man, I got to do something with this." And that sort of evolved, and we decided to do gin and vodka. But the most important thing was our signature product, which is our Shield Maiden, came out of that. And what I wanted was, I wanted a product that I could take back to any of the distillers that I've learned from and say, "Here's a true taste of Nova Scotia. This is Nova Scotia terroir." And that's what it is. It's grains from Nova Scotia with honey, So you can't get much better than that. The bees could have actually pollinated the grains. Brian approached us last winter when we first opened up, and we really hit it off. And we're exploring different ideas of what to do. We've got a couple RTDs. We've got 2 that are going to come out in the next few weeks, and really excited about that. But before that, we were like, just sitting there shooting the shit. And, he was like, the 2 tastes of Nova Scotia, rum and IPA. And I just looked at him. I went, "Boilermaker." And Vicky looked at him and said, "Boilermaker." And he looked at us and said, "Boilermaker." And that's what it was. And it just fell into place, and we played with it for quite a bit, and came up with something that really turned out to be popular. What Kevin Keefe said to me years ago, and it's stuck in my mind. And God bless the Cotton Sox, there's a lot of great brewers out there, but they're always off on tangents. And what Kevin told me was, make something consistently. And that's what we do with our products. All of our products, we use a Solera technique, which is barrel aging, and all these techniques for making consistently good quality products. So keep getting better. Yes, we've got a couple ideas for down the road, but in the meantime, we're just going to consistently push out what we're doing now and concentrate on growing our support. We've been thinking a lot about this. We definitely wanted a place for people to meet, like I'm a sailor. I travel all over the world. There's sailors bars like there's Pete's Cafe Sport on the Azores. There's the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. There's all sorts of these little places where people can meet. We're on the crossroads of Newfoundland, Cape Breton, the Strait, which has the first lock going up to the Great Lakes. We have a place where, people can congregate. And that's what we want is we want a really, really cool place where people can chill. As far as food and stuff, we're gonna do pop-ups. There's so many great people out there doing interesting things, but they don't have a real platform. They're doing farmers markets and stuff like that. So what we're saying is, hey, come on in. We'll do an evening. We'll bring in some locals. We'll have a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about. It's just about creating community. Blowthesalt.ca, that's our website. We're active on Facebook and Insta. We're working on, bringing up a channel and things like that. So, but follow us on those points for now, and that'll get the word out there and, word of mouth, get a lot of people talking about us. That's what always surprises me. Somebody says, "Oh, I saw that." Well, how'd you see that? Well, somebody does. So it's great. Like I said, there's a lot of community support, and we've had a lot of fun with it. We've got a number of people we've worked with over the years. The ultimate collaboration was actually getting set up. Mike Oxner from Winemaker Eye and James Rui gave us our first spot to actually start to brew when our spot on Cape Breton Island fell through. And that was the greatest thing for us was we were able to open doors relatively quickly. We got through all the administration and everything and got our products being made and established ourselves. And that was the ultimate. We're looking at what we're going to do together because, we've got similar views, but we're not the same. Mike's doing this amazing project and it's huge, and we're doing this little project and it's small. And it's I don't believe in people divvying up a sandbox. The Dutch have a wonderful saying. They say, we don't cut up pies, we bake more. And that's really what we do. We're all about growing. Growing the economy, growing the neighborhood. And that's what I see. I see, we are in the crossroads. So here we are. We're little, we're not trying to create a 10,000 seat, stadium or anything like that. We're just trying to have fun and give that little impetus to the community. We want to take things in measured steps. The Solera technique is a great technique for keeping consistency with the quality and improving your quality over time. So as it scales, as we get more barrels filled, as we do it, we can scale, but we try to scale on a very logical way. We're working with one of our great collaborations is with Fox Harbor. They are so tuned in to what we are. It's all about food pairings. And they said, oh, we don't have a culture for spirits in North America. Our culture for spirits in North America is degraded to shooters and mixed drinks. Those things are cool, but there's also the old beloved martini. There's the old just whiskey lime, things like that. These neat old drinks. And that's what we're saying is spring water. We are in the process of bottling our spring water, which is fantastic. That's an important part to our business. Drinks with spring water, drinks with just really basic things. I grew up in Metro Halifax and Guysborough. Not even 20 miles as a crow flies from here. Spent my youth, traipsing around. Started to travel very young. Started traveling aboard tall ships and got to see the world. Spent a lot of time in Ontario. Then moved to the southern United States, where I was based for a lot of work, and then eventually moved to Europe. And that was an eye opener because that gave me the opportunity to work with some of the finest distillers, especially in France. So that was really good. Yeah, came back home about 10 years ago, said, I like the direction Canada's going in, and I was seeing some positive things. So, although I'm still not quite acclimatized to winter, I still love being home. Below the Salt is right now. I got to give a huge shout out to my partner Vicky because as it says on our business card, she's the one that makes the distiller and everything else look good. Like all the labels, the website, everything we do is all based upon art, and that's Vicky's 110% contribution. So we were looking at something. She was sort of looking at winding down her Trading Places project and creating another project. We're looking at the tourism market and stuff like that. And she had come up with the concept of below the salt. Now, below the salt is a really interesting phrase. It comes from Old England, when the manor sat at a large table, and salt was kept in what's called a salt cellar. And if you Google them, you see these very, very elaborate containers that were made out of silver or pewter that held the salt. So the master sat at the salt cellar and would serve it. And the people that provided for the master, the farmers, the brewers, everybody on the estate, they sat below the salt. So to this day, a man who's worth his weight in salt comes from that expression. Salary comes from salt. So it's a really, really interesting concept. And as we met on her project Trading Places, and we were actually ice clearing at the largest salt mine in Canada. Yeah, it just seemed to fit. So it's one of those, serendipitous things.